Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Jaron Ennis passes the test, the Stanionis test. To make sure you like and subscribe, become a member to the channel. Especially, become a member to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Now look, man. Hey, give Jaron Boots Ennis his credit. Okay? What's ridiculous, right? Jaron Boots Ennis got in there, and he looked like he was just having fun. Even clowning around, playing to the crowd, which of course I don't like that. It just annoys me, you know what I'm saying? I think you should just be a consummate professional, inside and outside the ring. And I just think for Jaron Boots Ennis, I felt like he was giving Stanionis some opportunities. Stanionis did have a couple moments where he landed, looked to be some big shots, but unfortunately, he just doesn't have the kind of power that was needed to discourage Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, that being said, for the fans out there who are looking at Jaron Boots Ennis' performance and saying, you know what, we're not impressed. He's a weight bully. He got in it with a guy who's Stanionis, who came from another country. He wasn't acclimated to the time. His wife was about to have a baby. That wasn't the Stanionis that we've seen in previous fights. The monster, the beast. Hey, how about this? Don't take it to the stupid. What monster and beast have we seen in Stanionis? Yeah, he can fight. Yeah, he's gritty. Yeah, he's tough. But when have you seen Stanionis come out there with the one-hitter quitter and just tranquilize somebody? He grinds you down. He has a chin. He's tough. You got to kill Stanionis. You know, and like I said, it just ain't going to be no easy fight for Jaron Ennis. So for people saying that this was an easy fight, you tell Jaron Boots Ennis that. He'll tell you the guy came to fight. But that's what happens when people come to fight. You've seen Jaron Boots Ennis get hit with some shots yesterday that were very clean shots. Some shit that he didn't expect to get hit with, because you saw that Stanionis had pretty good timing, good anticipation. He was trying to let his hands go, and he had the footwork that I told you he had. I'm going to tell you the two things that gave Stanionis serious problems. And it's what I said in videos. That's why my channel should be much bigger than it is, but I get it. People like all the cussing and carrying on and the N-word usage and all the buffoonery and disrespecting fighters. It's entertaining to them, but that ain't my style, man. I'm a retired guy. I'll be 50 this year. I have sons who like to watch my videos, so you'll never hear me carry on like that. I may use some profanity here and there, but the other nonsense, that's not me. The jab of Jaron Ennis. And is that reach, man? I told you that was going to give Stanionis hell, man. Jaron Ennis was just bigger than him. He had that reach, and that just gave Stanionis a world of trouble, man. He just couldn't get beyond the reach, and I told you that was going to happen. A 6-inch reach advantage. You can see what Stanionis was trying to connect with Jaron Ennis, and Jaron Ennis was out of range. Stanionis was missing badly. And Boots would look out in the crowd and try to clown him and shit. But, you know, nothing wrong with a little bit of tomfoolery. But I'll tell you this. Going forward, it's like Jaron and a guy like Mario Barrios, you know, I'd have to favor Jaron Boots Ennis against Barrios, against Norman Jr. But this is the thing about Jaron Ennis, right? He looked great last night. Looked like he was just having fun and like he was just warming up. Those uppercuts that he was landing, he was doing something that was very smart. He would jab out of the southpaw stance and blind Stanionis, and then when he would do that, he would step to Stanionis' left. Now his body and everything is on Stanionis' left arm, and then Jaron Boots Ennis was shooting his left uppercut. And so what happened is Stanionis was getting blinded. Boots moved out on an angle, but he stayed close to Stanionis to where Stanionis couldn't use his left hand, which his best shot was his left hook, and Boots was working with his uppercut, hitting Stanionis with shots he didn't see. And Stanionis could have continued. I think he wanted to, but you could see he wanted to. Like his heart said yes, his mind said no. Almost turned to a little R. Kelly. Said yes, said no, whatever the hell that song went anyway. But my body's telling me yes. But his corner was like, nah. They knew that Stanionis was going to, the fight was going one way. Stanionis was going to get violently laid out in that ring. So the thing is this. What happens with a fight between Jaron Ennis and Brian Norman Jr.? Look, I'll save that for another video, but what I will tell you is Ennis is the real deal, okay? He fought a real fighter. And these people talk, Stanionis is a tomato can. He's not a tomato can, all right? Y'all got to stop saying that. He's not a tomato can. But I was a little disappointed in Stanionis not trying to, change his approach. His thing was just come straight forward, high guard, mash up, crash up. I didn't see him trying to he used a couple angles here and there, but he just wasn't able to make the adjustments because, again, he's in there with a guy who's much taller, much bigger, more reach, and he was just having a tough time getting to the target. And Boots Ennis was jabbing from the orthodox stance, jabbing from the southpaw stance, and he was just having his way. The jab was the key, which is what I said in a video. I did a video that's specifically about just the Jaron Boots Ennis jab, and that's what happened. But Brian Norman Jr. and Jaron Ennis, I'll say this: if he doesn't tighten up his defense, Jaron Boots Ennis is going to get hurt. He's going to get knocked out. Okay, I know he says he has a good chin, he can take a shot, and he did get hit with some shots by Stanionis, but Jaron Boots Ennis was riding with a lot of those shots, so he was taking the steam off of those punches. But you're getting there with a guy like Brian Norman Jr. or someone else who's quicker than Stanionis, who has a little more power than Stanionis, and who knows how to time and fight and explode on someone who has a longer reach and can get inside within the blink of an eye. I think Jaron Boots Ennis will have a tough time. Now, again, it's hard for me to see somebody beating Jaron right now because, it's like I said, there's certain fighters that have the ability to up it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what you do, they change gears and they up it. Two elite fighters makes for a good fight, but there's always one fighter who's able to up it when things get tough in that ring, whether it's due to their conditioning, whether it's due to their IQ, whether it's due to their speed, whether it's due to their footwork, whether it's due to them holding. They find a way to think in the firefight. While they're in the war zone, they're thinking. And the other opponent may be thinking, but they can't think as fast and react as fast. And that gives the individual the opportunity, the ability to up it and get the upper hand. And 9 times out of 10, they go on to win the fight unless stars line up and the opponent just happens to land a shot from the gods and tranquilizes them. So that's my only concern with Boots Ennis is his defense. But then again, you can have your hands down by your knees when you're halfway across the ring and still landing your jab. Now, Stanionis, I'm surprised. He was already much shorter than Boots, but then he fought even more compact. He looked like an Aesop Pitbull Cruz in there, the Lithuanian Pitbull Cruz. I don't know what he was thinking about just fighting so small, but I get it. He was trying to be a small target. He didn't want Boots to hit him with anything. But he basically turned himself into a Boots into a Sebastian Fundora fighting like an Erickson Lubin. We got the tall guy who's able to rip uppercuts on you. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what happened. Boots Ennis turned into Sebastian Fundora, and Stanionis turned into Lubin. If you're gonna get small like that and tuck your chin and ball over and bend over with a guy like Boots, you're gonna get hit with uppercuts, and you're leaning forward. You're gonna get hit with uppercuts. So that shows you that Boots, the thing, and the other thing, in that ring last night, Boots wasn't just outthinking Stanionis. Boots' father was outthinking Stanionis' corner. So they had a good game plan, but they had the natural advantages, and that's just something that no matter how much they trained over at the wild card, Stanionis and his team, they could never get beyond the 6-inch reach advantage, the height disadvantage, and the overall weight and size disparity. You can't overcome that. And Stanionis is just not as fast and agile as a guy like Norman Jr. or like back in the day a Pacquiao Mayweather, who can sit there and fight a guy who's 2 times his size and make him look stupid. So as far as Jaron Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, I'm giving y'all a lot of shit in one video. Normally I break this up into 5 videos, but I'm just going to talk because I'm about to go exercise. Jaron Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, that fight ain't gonna happen anytime soon. But just from what I saw last night, this is just me, right? Just from what I saw, being as fair as possible. I think Jaron Boots Ennis. First, let me say this: Jaron Boots Ennis must hit hard. That guy must hit very, very, very hard. Because to make a guy like Stanionis say no mas, Chikadzian said that man hits hard. Vanessian almost got killed in there. You know, Roman Villa, another one who you just don't see quit, right? He's quit since Boots whipped his ass. But what I'm saying is, and when Boots fought that Canadian, Custal Clayton or whatever his name was, almost killed him in the first round. So there's obviously something special about Jaron Boots and those hands of his. But he passed the test, but he needs more tests before we can come out and really say, yo, the hands. If he was, because Brian Norman Jr. would be a good fight, Mario Barnes would be a good fight, but I almost need to see Jaron Boots in there with somebody his size. But Virgil Ortiz, look, my opinion's changed about Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is back. He's back. At 154, he's back. The rhabdomyolysis, that ship sailed. He is back, firing on all cylinders, doing the business. Jaron Boots Ennis and Ortiz. I just have to say, if Jaron Boots Ennis gets in there, because Ortiz is about Boots' height, reach-wise, I think Boots may have a little bit of a reach advantage on him. But again, Ortiz and Boots, with Boots letting his hands down and keeping his, and exposing his chin and trying to shoot uppercuts and counters, I just think Ortiz is going to hit him with some shot. Ortiz has a high punch output. He can crack, and he's high intensity, and he's letting his hands go. And, yeah, can Ortiz be hit? Yes, but, you hit him, he's normally firing right back. I just think Jaron Boots Ennis is going to have shots coming at him that he's not going to expect. But if Jaron, if he can stop a guy like Ortiz, then that's gonna just confirm what we all believe and what we're seeing, right? Seeing is believing. That there's something about those hands of Jaron Boots Ennis. If he can do that to Brian Norman Jr., something about those hands. Barrios is a bad boy, but he's been fighting for a long time, man. And I just think Barrios has a lot of scar tissue and shit. So if he fights Boots, I think Boots opens him up. But Barrios is going to fight. Like, Barrios is another one. You got to put respect on Barrios' name. Barrios is a no kidding, man, an all-out warrior. He's not going to come in there and just quit. If Barrios takes a loss, you've earned that win. But I just think the real test for Ennis is probably going to be, I'm not even going to say Kavaliauskas anymore at 147, because even though I think Kavaliauskas, I gotta keep in mind, Kavaliauskas, when he fought Crawford and when he fought Ortiz, that's several years ago. He may not even be the same fighter, but that guy who fought Ortiz and Crawford would have been a good fight for Jaron Ennis, but I'm not sure he's the same. So really at 147, I'm not really sure who is a good test for Jaron Ennis. I'll tell you what, Eddie Hearn ain't gonna put Conor Benn in there. I'll tell you that shit. Jaron Ennis would tranquilize Conor Benn. But the real test for Jaron Ennis is up at 154. That's where he has to go. And it's not because those guys are bigger. Because when he fights somebody of equal dimensions, that's where I think you're going to see him have to, like he says, go into his bag to get the victory. And it kind of reminds me of Deontay Wilder. You watch Deontay Wilder, man, any opponent he fought, even if he beat him, if there was equal dimensions, Wilder had a tough time. And I'm going to tell you, it's not even an elite fighter. Like when he fought Gerald Washington. Gerald Washington's a good fighter. But, he was beating Deontay Wilder. But it's because the reach, because of the height, everything. Wilder was getting hit with shit that he wasn't used to getting hit with because he normally is the taller guy with the reach advantage. You saw when he fought Brazil. Yeah, he knocked him out in the first round. But Wilder hit Brazil in the first round, and Brazil went across the ring to the opposite corner. Wilder went to stock him, and Brazil hit him with a check hook. And Wilder's ass flew all the way over to the other side of the ring. Referee called break. Wilder was hurt badly. A lot of people didn't catch that. But the referee said break, then Wilder came back and immediately threw a shot before Brazil could really, get his feet set, and Wilder knocked him out. You saw when he fought Helenius. Helenius touched Wilder. People ain't talking about that. He hit him with a little counter hook and hurt Wilder. But then Wilder went on retreat, was on the back foot, shot from the guard, landed on Helenius and put him out of there. Then you saw Wilder what happened with Zhang and Tyson Fury. So what I'm getting at is for Jaron Ennis, I want to see. I'm telling you, he passed the test, right? I do. I'm telling you, I think he passed the test. He's on his way. But I would like to see him fight somebody of equal dimensions. And let's see how that fight goes. Because the reality is, he's able to get down to 147 for a moment in time, weigh-in, and then he was fortunately able to rehydrate the way he wanted to and not had to deal with no bullshit claws because of those weird IBF rules. So he was able to rehydrate to whatever weight that he wanted to yesterday, and that helped him tremendously. But for those people who are saying Jaron Boots Ennis is nothing but a Devin Haney, I totally understand what you're saying. Because Devin Haney would kill himself to get to 135 for a moment in time and then rehydrate 20-something pounds. And people are like, how's he doing that? Because he was damn near killing himself, getting down to 135, looking ghoulish. You know what I'm saying? Looking emaciated, look crazy. And Jaron Boots Ennis does something very similar where he gets down to a weight where he looks crazy. You know what I mean? Doesn't look healthy, but it's for a moment in time that he's able to rehydrate. So good job to Jaron Ennis. He's on to the next. But I think Eddie Hearn's going to have to figure out a way to really help grow Jaron Boots Ennis' platform. Because, look, fighting in New Jersey, cool. Philly, cool. But Ennis needs to be out there in Vegas getting that dough. But as far as going to Saudi Arabia, hey, yo, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Now, I'm going to tell all y'all Jaron Ennis fans, I think Jaron Ennis is the real deal. But if he goes to fight in Saudi, if Turki Al-Sheikh says, hey, I want to bring him over to Saudi, I want him to fight, he's going to fight the guy Turki Al-Sheikh wants him to fight. And you know Turki Al-Sheikh, when Turkey's in the house, every day's Thanksgiving, he's not going to sit there and say, hey, Jaron and versus Mario Barrios. That's not the fight he's going to make. Even though that's for a unification. He's not going to do that. Brian Newman Jr., maybe. No, he's going to be looking at having Jaron Boots Ennis come to 154 and fight a Madrimov, fight a Bohachuk, fight a Murtazaliev, maybe an Ortiz. That's the kind of shit that Turki Al-Sheikh's going to try to pull. And I'm not saying he'll be trying to set up Jaron Boots Ennis to lose. He just knows I need to put on competitive fights, and he's going to try to make the best fight possible. And I am 95% sure if Turki Al-Sheikh got involved and said, hey, I'm willing to pay him $20 million, Eddie Hearn's going to have a conversation with Boots and say, look, it's the kind of money, change your life forever. And Boots is going to be like excited. He say, however, you got to fight Bohachuk. However, you got to fight Madrimov. However, you got to fight Murtazaliev. However, Virgil Ortiz, I think is no problem. But those other names, I think they're going to throw him in there with some guys who are going to really, really test him. And could be trying to set him up to lose. When some of these fighters go over there, I don't know what they got in the sand. They catch the sand virus and shit, you know what I mean? They catch the turkey virus. Or bird flu, that's what I call them, turkey. So they go out there and catch a Saudi bird flu. And all of a sudden, shit ain't really working out for them. But anyway, Jaron Boots Ennis, he does the business, man. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's amazing for him to come in as an IBF champion. His career at one time seemed to be kind of in peril. Didn't know going left, going right, going up, going down. Coming as an IBF champion to take the WBA belt from Stanionis, man. Stanionis corner stops the fight. I just think it's crazy. But one thing you got to say, you got to give credit to Stanionis. I've given you about 10 videos in this one. He came to fight. He was finding space, landing clean power shots, man. You can't say nothing negative about Stanionis. He made Boots fight. He made Boots earn that win, and Boots did exactly that. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Jaron Boots Ennis, you got the speed, you got the power, got the timing, got the ability to counterpunch, got the footwork. You got everything, man. Just not sure about that defense. Keep cool. I'm in the breeze.